Welcome back, anime enthusiasts. Prepare yourselves for another action-packed adventure as we delve into Buddy Daddies Season 1, Episodes 5 through 8. Get ready to witness heart-pounding battles, unexpected plot twists, and unforgettable moments. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of this captivating series. Let's dive in. Kazuki checks their bank account and discovers they're going broke. Rei asks why they're going broke, and Kazui replies that it's due to the fact they're not working. And he spent most of their savings on Miri's daycare stuff. Rei suggests buying cheap things. Kazuki replies that's what he's been doing. He looks at Miri and Rei, who are gaming on the couch, while explaining that desperate times lead to desperate measures. He tells Rei to buy new video games and no pudding for Miri for breakfast, then informs Rei that they're going to have to meet with Kyu. The two meet Kyu and ask him for their jobs back. He gives them a bunch of files to work on, saying they're going to have to start small before getting a big job. Before Rei could deny, Kazuki grabs the files, saying they'll work for them. As they go through the files at home, Kazuki gets a phone call from Miri's daycare, informing them that Miri's class will be taking a few days off. The news frustrates them since they have to work and take care of the kid. They go to Miri's daycare to pick her up, and on their way back, Rei asks Kazuki about the job. Kazuki sighs as he explains that one of them has to stay home and look after Miri. Then Miri tells them that she wants to go to the park. Kazuki replies that she can't go to the park because they have to work. Miri gets excited and asks them what their job is. They pause and look at her as if they didn't hear her. Then she tells them it's her homework. Her teacher says while they're off, they have to ask their dads about their work, and then they will tell the entire class about it. They just stare at her when she asks them what their job is. Rei suddenly turns and starts walking away from where they came from. However, Miri blocks his way, asking whether he's going to his job. Rei turns back to where they are going and starts walking away from the kid. She clings to Rei's leg, whining that she wants to go with him, while Rei tells her to let him go. Days later, Miri is sleeping peacefully. The house is a mess with toys scattered everywhere, and the kitchen has a pile of dirty dishes in the sink. Kazuki looks like a zombie due to his lack of sleep as he's busy working on his computer. Rei walks in looking like a zombie as well. He puts the camera on the table, telling Kazuki that the pictures are taken. Kazuki tells him to sit down so they can continue working. He wonders whether they're going to finish the work before their deadline. Taking care of Miri and doing their work is taking a toll on them. Kazuki suggests that they ask for advice from Kyu. The following morning, Miri is up watching TV in the lounge. Kazuki finds Rei sleeping in the bathtub. He tells him to watch Miri, saying he's going out. As he walks to the door, the little girl tries to follow him, and he tells her to stay and that Rei will play with her. She immediately runs to the bathroom to wake him up, but he doesn't budge. So she walks out of the apartment and sees Kazuki in the elevator as the door is closing. She starts following him behind, excited to see his father's job. She suddenly gets distracted by a dog when she looks to where her dad was, and she finds that he's gone. So she starts looking around for him. Meanwhile, Rei has woken up and noticed Miri is gone. At Kyu's cafe, Kazuki is asking him for advice when he gets a phone call from Rei asking whether Miri is with him. He replies that she's not. He returns home and they start looking for her around the streets and parks. Meanwhile, Miri has taken the route her papa disappeared and bumps into a huge man who walked out of Kyu's cafe. She apologizes, then Kyu opens the door to the cafe and takes her in. Rei and Kazuki meet outside the cafe as Kazuki suggests they call the cops, suggesting someone might have kidnapped her to get back at them. Rei then tells him that he's thirsty, so they enter the cafe and find Miri sipping a drink. Kazuki screams her name as she calls him Papa. Kyu is surprised to hear the kid calling them Papa. Kazuki then pretends that she's not their kid, telling Miri that her parents must be worried, saying they've been looking everywhere for her. When Kyu went to take an order, Kazuki tells Miri not to call them Papa in front of that man. She replies that she's got it. Kyu asks what as he returns. Kazuki lies again, saying they've been taking babysitting jobs and the child went missing. Hence, they were looking for her. Kyu asks about the job he gave them, saying he can't afford to extend the deadline. Kazuki replies that they're working on it and it's going great. Kyu asks if it's really going great, and then the guys start telling him that they haven't had enough sleep in the past 3 days. So Kyu asks if they'll meet the deadline if he can take care of Miri. They both stare at him like he's gone crazy. Kazuki starts telling him not to. He explains that he means he will look after her while they work. The following day, as Mary is getting ready to go to Q's cafe, Kazuki tells her never to breathe a word about her papas to the man, and she says she won't. However, the two doubt it. They drop her at the cafe and hit the road. Kazuki tells Rei that Q is cold-hearted, and he replies that he takes care of women as well. Kazuki freaks out, saying they have to hurry and do the work fast and get back as he speeds up the truck. Meanwhile, at the cafe, Q is telling Mary that Kazuki is a stand-up comedian and Rei is a Middle Eastern oil baron, since she asked to know about their jobs. At work, Kazuki is freaking out as Mary is spilling everything. Meanwhile, Kyo asks her who she's drawing and she slips, saying Papa. Then she corrects herself, saying it's for her homework. She's drawing Kazuki and Rei. He asks if she doesn't want to go to the family. Mary replies that she's okay. Kazuki and Rei will stay with her forever. That night when they went to get Mary, she talks in her sleep, saying Pop, Rei, and Kazuki. Kazuki is about to explain when Q tells them that he knows everything. The following day, Q reminds them of the kind of business they're into. However, he tells them to understand why they did it, saying she's a good kid and can change them. He then asks them if they're prepared for it. When they reply, he tells them not to regret it. Kazuki watches news about parenting, talking about brat kids. He starts thinking that their Mary can never turn out bad. Later, he goes to pick her up at her daycare. Her teacher, Miss Anna, explains to him that Mary got in a fight, so she was hoping he could talk to her about it and see what happened. He gets excited and tells the teacher that he's got it. Then he notices a note notifying all the parents about the kids' field trip happening the following day. He tells himself that he'll pack lots of food for her lunch. During the night at home, as Mary watches Papa Rei play a video game, Kazuki kneels in front of her, asking her about the fight at school. She replies that Taiga-kun was being mean. That's why she hit him. Kazuki explains to her that she did something wrong and he'll punish her. She replies, saying she didn't do anything wrong, and he tells her that he's the one to decide whether she's wrong or not. Mary gets angry and gets off the chair, runs upstairs, sticks her tongue out, and tells Kazuki that she hates him. Early in the morning, Kazuki makes food for her. When Rei notices so much food on the counter, Kazuki explains that it's for Mary's field trip. However, Rei seems to think he's just trying to get on her good side, since he's still taken by what happened the previous day. Mary walks in and Kazuki greets her. She tells him that she still hates him and that Papa Rei will take her to daycare. Minutes after they left, Kazuki notices he forgot to pack her lunchbox. He runs out and meets Rei, who tells him that the bus has already left. Kazuki drags Rei with him to the zoo to give her the food. Arriving at the zoo, Kazuki climbs a tree to look for Mary, while Rei sits down. Meanwhile, Mary and her three friends are lost and are looking for their friends, with Mary holding Taiga's hand. Kazuki starts complaining about them making Mary their plaything. They start following the kids. Rei tells him to give her the food so they can go before Miss Anna catches them, but he insists on staying, making sure they're safe since he noticed that the kids are lost. They continue following the kids when suddenly the boy sits on a bench, saying he's tired. Mary tells Taiga that they need to find Miss Anna. Upon hearing the name, Kazuki realizes it's the kid she had a fight with the previous day. The other girls then sit, saying they should take a break. Taiga spills water on his shirt while drinking, and Mary takes a cloth and starts wiping. Kazuki is surprised to see that she's taking care of the kid she hit. Then Mary tries to stop a man from stealing food from a store. The man tries to push Mary when a stone lands on his hand. Then the owner of the store arrives, the thief returns the food and walks away after promising to deal with the kid later. Kazuki and Rei watch Mary and the criminals exchange from far away while Rei plays with a stone. After that, the kids continue searching for their friends. Taiga and Mary find out that they both love Mario Kart racers. Then they get hungry and sit on the grass to eat. When Mary opens her bag, she doesn't find her lunch. Her friend asks if she forgot it. Meanwhile, Kazuki is trying to get out of the playhouse to hand Mary her food. Rei stops him and they look outside the window as Taiga shares his food with her. Then he tells them that they should eat together. But Mary's friends start saying Taiga will be mean again and steal their fried chicken. Taiga stands up and tells them that he won't do it again, then he apologizes. As the kids are preparing to start eating, the thief appears, grabs Mary's hand, and threatens her to hand over her food. She refuses and tries to kick him, but her feet are short. Taiga jumps at the thief's hands, making Mary fall. The man grabs Taiga and points a gun at Mary. Kazuki and Rei appear in a rabbit and an alpaca costume. The thief points a gun at Kazuki in a rabbit costume, but he lunges forward, snatching the gun, and kicks him towards Rei, who slaps the thief and kicks him, knocking him unconscious. The kids thank him and Mary hugs the rabbit. When Mary gets home, she hugs Kazuki and tells him about the rabbit she hugged. Then Rei hands him a note from Anna telling them that the fight was because Mary was trying to stop Taiga from being mean, and she hit him by accident. Kazuki hugs Mary while crying, saying it's his fault. Karen goes to visit Kuji with the intention of asking him about Kazuki. The very same time, Kazuki himself is heading out to pick up the young Mary from her school. The second Mary spots Kazuki coming, she gets tremendously excited. She's holding an umbrella above her head to keep the pouring rain off of her. When Mary sees her beloved Kazuki, she begins joyfully dancing around, twirling the umbrella as she moves. However, she then slips on the wet ground, causing the umbrella to go flying right out of her hands and into the street, where it gets run over and crushed by a passing car. Mary rushes over to retrieve her now broken favorite umbrella, crying at the same time because it was the one she loved the most. But Kazuki comforts her, assuring her not to worry as he will get her a new umbrella to take its place. After that, the two of them start making their way back home together side by side. Once they arrive at the house, Mary immediately starts playing an exciting game with Rei. As she turns around, her wet raincoat gets water all over the floor she's tracking through. A little later, Kazuki and Rei sit down at the dining table to eat their meal. But then, midway through eating, Rei suddenly gets up and leaves the table while Mary asks Kazuki if maybe they can play one more game together. Kazuki tells her no, though, because he knows Mary always gets extremely angry and upset whenever she loses at the games they play. Meanwhile, as Rei is doing his regular exercise routine, Mary approaches Kazuki with a puzzled look on her face, asking him if he's been happened to see her special towel that has her name written on it. Kazuki thinks that maybe Rei might know where it's located, so he asks Rei about it, but Rei has headphones in his ears, so he can't hear Kazuki asking him the question. Then quite suddenly, they both notice the towel just lying there near where Rei is working out. After seeing the towel, Kazuki starts looking all around for his sewing kit because he needs to use it to repair something. Once he finally finds the sewing kit that night, he instructs Rei that he needs to start putting in more effort to help take care of Mary's needs. However, Rei responds by saying he does a good job already because he and Mary play games together frequently. Kazuki explains to him that while playing the games is good, Rei should also start taking Mary outside the house sometimes, not just staying inside all the time. But the conversation leads nowhere as Rei believes he's already doing an excellent job with how he acts towards Mary. Later, as Kazuki is out walking around a different part of town, he suddenly catches a glimpse of Karen in the distance. He swiftly ducks out of view, wondering to himself what she could possibly be doing over in this area. But then, two young girls notice Kazuki and come up to him, asking what he's up to being on this side of town. They also invite him to hang out and play with him since they haven't seen him around for a long time. Kazuki flat out lies to them, claiming he's busy so he can't stay, despite having no real plans. He says goodbye to the two girls and proceeds to head straight back home. When Kazuki arrives back at the house, he gets the laundry load started, washes the dirty dishes in the sink, and also prepares cooking dinner for everyone. After all that is complete, they all gather together at the table and eat the delicious meal that Kazuki prepared. However, when they sit down to eat the meal Kazuki prepared, Mary tells him that she and Rei do not like the food. She insists that instead Kazuki should make French toast for them. This demand enrages Kazuki and he becomes furious. He abruptly gets up and leaves the dinner table immediately, stating angrily that he's not their maid and will not take such orders. The following day, Mary wakes up Rei because she is hungry since Kazuki left and didn't make them any food. Kazuki also left a letter on the table explaining he's gone out for a while, as well as leaving dirty dishes in the sink and clothes that need washing. Rei has to prepare a breakfast for himself and Mary to eat. While they're eating, Mary reminds Rei about whether or not she'll be going to daycare that day. Upon checking the time, Rei realizes that he must hurry to get Mary's clothes ready from her closet so he can get her to school on time. Meanwhile, Kazuki has gone to visit Kuji, where he explains that he ran off from home because he wants Rei to look after Mary properly. After that, Kazuki goes to a bar and gets drunk while being surrounded by girls flirting with him. Later, Rei picks Mary up from school and they return home. As usual, Mary takes off her coat as soon as they walk inside, leaving a wet mess on the floor. However, Rei is too tired to clean it up right away. Since Mary is hungry and wants food, the easy solution is for Rei to order a pizza for them. While that is happening, the drunk Kazuki has gotten into a fight with 3 other men. They beat him up and then dump his unconscious body into a garbage pile outside. That is where Karen finds Kazuki lying in the trash and she wonders if he's okay. Kazuki immediately stands up and tries to leave without talking to her, but Karen insists they should talk, although Kazuki refuses. This reminds Kazuki of how Karen's sister died when he was fighting with a gang years ago. The next day, Mary's temperature rises and she has a fever, but Ray does not know what to do to help her even where the hospital is located. Meanwhile, Kazuki has gone to visit the grave of Karen's sister. He walks around the different places she loved and reminisces about meeting her for the first time years ago. Karen shows up and tells Kazuki that she wants to study fashion abroad in France. After having a long conversation, they say goodbye to each other. Kazuki then heads back home, but when he arrives, he finds the house is an absolute mess. He goes into Mary's room and finds her sleeping alongside Ray. He also notices the hospital card with prescribed medicine that should be given to Mary. The following day, Ray wakes up early and gets dressed in a suit before going out. Mary sees him and asks where he's going, to which Ray responds that he's going home, surprising her. Kazuki also wakes up and sees Ray wearing the suit, wondering if they have been assigned some kind of work. After Ray departs, Kazuki asks Mary where Ray said he was going. Mary tells him that Ray said he was going home. This makes Kazuki realize that Ray must have gone to visit his father, who likely called for him. After 3 years of being away, Ray finally reaches his family home. Meanwhile, Kazuki has gone out shopping with Mary, who asks him if Ray has 2 different homes. Kazuki explains to her about the house Ray used to live in before coming to live with them. Upon hearing this, Mary becomes curious and wants to visit Ray's father as well. However, Kazuki tells her that Ray's father is a very scary man, so she can't go meet him. Back with Ray, when he arrives home, his boss is pleased to see him exhibiting proper etiquette. He compliments Kazuki's influence for making Ray more pleasant, though not entirely useful yet. He comments that Ray's skills are still quite poor. The boss then wants to know if there is any reason for Ray's numerous mistakes on recent jobs he's carried out. On the other hand, Mary asks Kazuki if Ray and his father got into a big fight previously. Kazuki explains that it was because Ray's father expected the world from him, intensively training Ray to eventually take over the family business. He tells Mary about the first time he met Ray, who seemed like an emotionless robot due to rebelling against his strict father's ways, which is why Ray left home initially. Kazuki mentions that if Ray is able to make up with his father now, he will likely move back to live with his family's house again. Back with Ray, his father lectures him about how the same blood runs through their veins, which is why Ray exists, to be raised to eventually lead the family's powerful organization when the time comes. However, Ray does not seem to like the idea of taking over the family business and living up to his father's expectations. That's when his father tells him the only reason he allowed Ray to stay outside the home is because of the oath Ray made to return one day and take his rightful place. The father then wants to know if Ray has found a place to call home in the outside world, to which Ray responds that he has. But his father chides him, saying he merely has formed pointless ties that do not matter. He states he's telling Ray this because such bad ties are dangerous to their family's business interests. Ray informs his father that Kazuki is not a bad influence. In response, his father throws a book at Ray. When Ray looks inside, he realizes it contains information about a man who once betrayed their organization. His father sternly tells Ray not to betray his own expectations for Ray's future. Meanwhile, Ray calls Kazuki, who is out shopping with Mary. Kazuki informs Ray to come home before dinner as they have planned a surprise for him. However, Ray's unsure when he'll be able to return. Later, Ray has to leave on a new assignment from his father regarding the man who'd worked for them previously, the same man who taught Ray so much about weapons and combat. Ray wants to know the reason why this man betrayed the organization, but he doesn't know the answer. On the way to the mission, the driver asks Ray why he kills people, to which Ray explains it's because of his family's business, and for the thrill of it. They discuss the background of the target man and the reason for his existence. After arriving at the destination, the driver tells Ray to record the target's last words before he dies. Ray then approaches the target man and they engage in a fierce shootout. Meanwhile, Mary and Kazuki are waiting at home, having cooked Ray's favorite foods in celebration of his return, but Ray is occupied with his violent confrontation. After trading gunfire, Ray shoots the man, who then falls down a stairwell to his death. Ray goes back to the driver, who asks what the man's last words were, but Ray reveals he didn't speak anything final. The driver insists Ray return with him, but Ray refuses. As Ray contemplates all the lives he has taken just because he was ordered to, Kazuki suddenly arrives in a car and tells Ray to get in. Ray wonders how Kazuki knew his location, and Kazuki explains he tracked Ray's phone. On the drive home, Ray asks Kazuki if they can change their ways of living. Kazuki replies that He doesn't know if that's possible. When they arrive home, they celebrate Rei's birthday together. Meanwhile, Kuji is given a new mission and the person in the photograph is revealed to be Kazuki himself. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey through Buddy Daddies. If you enjoyed the recap, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting anime content. Stay tuned for future recaps and updates. Until next time, weebs.